some portions, so you know why to come with a remix. Less than 10 minutes in, number 1-0 down, conceded, I go against Felix. Rashford never tracked back, never did. Luke Shaw never did, cross never did. Pogba did it, control never did. First half, all black never had to douche. Pack some portions, so you know why to come with a remix. Less than 10 minutes in, number 1-0 down, conceded, I go against Felix. Rashford never tracked back, never did. Luke Shaw never did, cross never did. Pogba did it, control never did. First half, all black never had to douche. Woo! Shout out Elanga, United saviour. Young G, but he weren't born in a manger. Subbed off Rashford, called in a favour. First Champions League goal, that's major. Woo! I said first Champions League goal, that's major. Woo!
Yo, this is the OT99 Banter Room where opinions are shared and smoke gets served. Look, we're back again with another show. It's your boy Firms, and I'm joined today by NK, and we are going to break down Manchester United versus Atletico Madrid. Atletico Madrid. Look, Manchester United were away from home. The atmosphere looked crazy. You know, on TV screens, the Atletico Madrid fans, they came out in the numbers. We heard the crowds roaring. It looked real intimidating. And, you know, Man United had to, you know, this is what it means playing for Manchester United in these big games, in these big matches, you know. This would have been a really good learning curve for guys like Elanga, you know what I mean, bursting through the scene. So, for me, like, it was experience that you can't, it's a priceless experience that guys like Elanga got, you know. And a lot of our team is getting at the minute, you know, playing in stadiums like that. So, look, NK, let's kick it off with this. Manchester United won, Atletico Madrid won. Was that a good result?
It was a great result considering like the way we performed. It was a great result. We got 1-1. We know that away goals don't count anyway, but you know, second leg is very simple. Win and we go through. But the performance and the way that we played,
yeah,
we were lucky to get 1-1. So I'll say it's not a good result. It's a great result.
Look, we're gonna break it down with like. So for me, I feel again like that was a good result because we were playing away from home, right? And you know, leading up to this game, right, and just checking on other people's opinions and other people's views on like Atletico Madrid and Man United, we were actually compared as being quite similar in terms of our form, in terms of how we show up to games. That you're just not really knowing what you're gonna get with both teams. So in my head, anyway, before we even kicked a ball, I was thinking in my head, you know what? Man United is probably going to get a draw at best away from home. I mean, I'm comfortable if we get a draw. Obviously, if you can nick it, it'll be great. But I'll be comfortable if we get a draw. The key thing is not to lose, right? You know, and this is what we done. We managed to go in there. You know, we got a result, and then we're out. But you know, there were certain things in that game, right? In particular. So obviously, I'll talk about the good things, right? Let's start off with the good things. Elanga, right? Elanga comes off the bench. You know, in that short space of time that he had, you know, he takes a fine finish, you know what I mean, composure in front of the goal. He was actually saying, you know, there was All Black left a lot of space to his right-hand side and he just exploited it and he just put it in the net. And for me, I thought, do you know what, that's just do the simple things. You see the space, take the shot on, composure, put it in the net. And I have to give him credence for that, you know what I mean? He's on fire right now. Elanga is on fire. He's got 2 in 2. I don't even know how many goals he's got this season, maybe 4. I don't even know how many he's got. But he's on fire, man. And the question I want to ask you, NK, about Elanga is, in the Premier League, we're all thinking that, you know, Elanga should be starting. But in Champions League nights like this, like for the second leg, for example, should Elanga be starting a game over Rashford?
Well, yesterday I was surprised he didn't start, to be honest with you. I was surprised. He was one guy that I was expecting to be in a team just because with a team like Atletico, he works hard. We know that when Ronaldo, because defenders give Ronaldo a lot of attention. So anytime Ronaldo drop deep, if you're looking for someone to exploit that space, yeah, he's your guy to exploit those kind of like space that Ronaldo leave in behind there. And you saw from the goal too. Ronaldo come deep, literally, who's there to exploit that space? It was Elanga. You know, I was really surprised that Ragnick went with Rashford because Rashford low block team, he's not a guy anyways. You know, when you play low block, he's always trying to like dribble his way past through or just doing like the low nonsense stuff. So I was surprised that Rashford get it, but yeah, I don't see why no. I'll be amazed if it doesn't even start the second leg, you know, because the second leg Atletico will probably try to come out, get a goal or something. If we score a goal and he's the perfect guy to explore those spaces, you know. You saw that against Brighton anyways, you know, when he went there to get the guy set off. So yeah, he should be starting. I think he's young, should be rotating him and stuff, but just look after him. That's all it is. Just look after him.
He needs to be looked after, because I remember Rashford when he burst on the scene. He reminds me of a guy that's just hungry. He's really hungry to impress, really hungry to show his worth. He's taking the game seriously. It's pure football in his head. You know what I mean? He's got a clear head full of football, no other distractions. And Rashford, he reminded me of that as well. But it's just like, as the years go on and the pundits get involved, I know the praise goes, you know, he's English. The contract goes up, the money goes up. You start feeling a bit entitled. You start believing the hype. Then all of a sudden, the hunger kind of divides. I just hope it doesn't happen to Elanga. I know that Ralf Rangnick is managing him well, like you said, and you know, protecting him and bringing him in certain games and removing him. I hope that, I know we're heavily dependent on Elanga right about now, but I really do hope that we manage him in a way where we treat him in a little differently, right? Because we want long-term success, not just this short.
Yeah, but I think the difference too is, if you even like listen to what he said. He said, when I got the ball, I saw the goalkeeper has left a lot of space there. That's a guy that's actually playing with his head up, not head down. You know, some players will not even look at that. You know, they'll just literally look down and just shoot the ball, literally, and hope that it goes in. But he's very aware of what is around him too, and that's very intelligent too. So as long as he keep that intelligence and work hard too, well, ability is one thing, but sometimes to know understanding the game and doing the basic work can get you a lot higher too.
Okay, talking about guys that should start, right? So obviously, when I looked at the formation, one of the anomalies that I saw that stood out to me early was Lindelof. Lindelof playing right back position, right? Instead of his centre back position. And for me, I was thinking, wait, like, what's going on? So I looked on the bench and I saw like Delo was on the bench, Wan-Bissaka was on the bench. Like, they weren't injured, they weren't ill, whatever. Like, thinking, what's going on? And my thought behind it, right? And I'll ask you for yours, what your thought was behind it. But for my thought behind it, I was thinking, Ralf Rangnick clearly, is not trying to lose. No one's trying to lose, but he's clearly put Lindelof in right back position. If these men were fit, I'm assuming that they were fit, because he believes and trusts in Lindelof's defensive capabilities even more than your Wan-Bissaka's, and like your Delos, definitely more your Wan-Bissaka's. He's got a cooler head, his position is probably better, and all of those other things that maybe Wan-Bissaka or Delo may lack. And I was thinking, like, this Atletico made us change our shapes, change our style a little bit. So he gave Atletico a lot of respect there. Secondly, as well, I noticed that with the formation that we do, with the DM sitting like deep, like with your Scott McTominay, I know he went through the wars and he's probably needed a rest or whatever. And then you have your two number 8s right in front of him. I noticed that in this lineup we had Fred and Pogba more side by side with Bruno in an advanced position. And I know that's the formation that we technically usually play and probably are most comfortable with, but we've been getting a bit more joy. Like, Ralf Rangnick hasn't got a bad record. We've been getting a bit more joy with the one DM. I was kind of liking that with Scott McTominay and the two DMs. But we'll get into that bit a bit later on after we address this right back position. What was your thoughts behind when you saw Lindelof starting and playing in that right back position? What was your thoughts behind his Ralf Rangnick's decision making?
Well, originally when I saw it, I thought it was going to be 3 at the back. But then as the game was leading on, like, there was just like, I just kind of like read one or two things like he was going to play my right back. And when the team came out and I saw that Scott McTominay wasn't playing, I saw the reason why he did that with Lindelof. Because with Fred kind of like playing, Fred is not normally like a disciplined guy where he would just protect the back too. And they were very worried too of getting hit on the counter. So I thought he wanted to just get that kind of like right back that's not going to push high up, so that even if we get hit on the counter, instead of it being like a two like the two center backs, Lindelof will probably like cover to make it 3 at the back instead of 2. So I think it had nothing to do with Delo or Wan-Bissaka. I just felt like it was just a tactical feel. Like he just felt like with Scott McTominay missing defensively, we might not get enough protection as we needed. But what happened was, the minute Atletico scored, that plan backfired, because Delo, in terms of like progressive passes when we are building up from the back, he's very key with his progressive passes forward. So when Atletico scored first and they they decided to pack the pass, it affected us because straight away the back four, we didn't have enough of them there playing out kind of a progressive pass. I mean, you could say apart from like Shaw, who normally play progressive passes, Delort normally do that too. So if you take him there, Lindelof wasn't playing no progressive pass up front, and Maguire doesn't do that too. Varane tried to do it, but he mostly tried to run with it, but then he just ran into like the traffic, you know. So yesterday, I think that is where the problem happened. So that's why in the second half, he had to change it because Atletico Madrid got to go, hug the bus, and literally after that, Lindelof playing as right back became useless because he couldn't offer nothing going forward.
I think you're right. I think when we conceded that goal, I thought, here we go again. Man United always give themselves a mountain to climb, and Lindelof being in that right back position now, we weren't set up for this type of scenario where, especially so early in the game, he's not providing no attacking outlet. You know, he's not a guy to be whipping in the ball. I think I remember him getting up the pitch like once, but no ball came in from that little bit of a run he did. So I don't know if it was Ralph Ragnick looking what Lindelof did at Leeds and thinking, let me get on one of your galloping runs again on right back. But yeah, it didn't work out. It left us in a position. Okay, so with the midfield, obviously, we got Fred that played alongside Pogba, and obviously that was a key area of the battle in this game that we lost. We lost that battle. Clearly, we lost that battle, and obviously it's reinforced the thinking. It's been reinforced anyway, but it's further added to the thinking that Manchester United really do need a DM, and a particular type of DM as well, not just any DM, because when we saw Matic come on the pitch, right, it seems like there was an instant change in terms of how we were operating. It felt like we had more bodies in the middle now just because he was just there, and sort of like positional sense was just like that anchor, whereas it didn't feel like that when it felt like with Pogba, it was getting out of position, like you were saying, offline anyway. It was going in more advanced positions trying to get goals, and then you're left with Fred, and Fred is not really that great from his positional sense. He's more of a box-to-box guy. He's tracking guys and trying to close down, so it tends to leave a gap to play around him. It tends to leave a gap in the midfield. But when Matic came on, it changed. So what's your thoughts anyway? I say that to say this. What's your thoughts about the Pogba situation? So I'm going to ask you two questions. One, what's your thoughts on the Pogba situation, and what should we do, or how should we use Pogba if we are keeping him? And then two, what type of DM do you feel like we need, and who is that right guy? So let's start off with Pogba. So what's your thoughts with Pogba, man? What do we do?
Well, yesterday, the problem in the first half in the midfield, I feel like it was a tactical thing where Ralph wanted to kind of like press them high up the pitch with like Pogba and Bruno, and then obviously leave like Fred kind of like deep. So if you watch it, them two were very high up the pitch, you know, compared to like the second half. But because Atletico scored the goal and they were defending so deep, they could not find space whatsoever. And the centre backs, like literally across the whole full, back line, they don't trust to give Fred the ball. They just don't, you know. And the only time sometimes they give the ball to them is when they run into trouble and then they release it. There was a time where they pressed Maguire, and then he just literally passed the ball to Fred, and then you can tell Fred to his control was very bad. They nearly kind of like clamped him and got the ball. So anytime they pass it in between them, when Fred makes himself available, they don't trust to pass it to him. And you know, the same thing happened to Scott McTominay too, because these guys are not really good on the ball. So naturally, they don't want to give it to them. But the only problem is when they don't give it to them, and they go to side, when Shaw get the ball, naturally he has to play to Sancho. But Sancho was very closely marked, he couldn't get it. Pogba too, they were so marked that they couldn't even get to the game. So your only outlet was to give it to the DM, which they didn't want to give it to him. When Matic came in, Matic is different. He goes to you and say, give me the ball. And then when he goes and give me the ball, they will give it to him because naturally they know that he is a guy that when you give him the ball, he will find the right place and he's not going to lose it. So it's more about trust between the centre backs and whoever play the DM. Now, with the Pogba situation, yesterday was a game where, as a midfielder, we're struggling to get into the game. And what we needed when you saw from the second half is when your DM get the ball, the next guy next to him should be someone who can run with the ball. Example is like how Kante normally does it, where he just got that energy and he just like running through. Because when you play low block, if you can't pass it through and your wingers are not good, another thing that you have to do is just run the ball through them, by being energetic. Pogba is naturally not your energetic kind of like player that will play. He more like to I feel like he likes to slow the tempo down for him, where when he get a ball, he wants to just do it, dribble, pass, anything. That's why he normally like to play next to the wing side, where he can just able to do it, dribble it, pass it, and stuff like that. So yesterday he just could not get a game because he couldn't find the pocket. I mean, there was the times where he received the ball up on the pitch, both him and Bruno, they were very guilty of either miscontrolling it or not doing enough with the ball. So yesterday, the first half was just very awful, for them. And the minute Matic came, when Matic came, he probably has to go off anyway. So we didn't. But going forward, I don't know. Before, I used to feel like Declan Rice could kind of solve that problem. But after watching the game yesterday, I feel like when you get someone like a Rice, he's not your most energetic player anyways. You need someone who brings energy into that midfield. Pogba is not your most energetic kind of like player, and Bruno is not. So if you bring Rice in there, you lack that energy in that midfield, someone who is going to be running up and down to cover like what Fred does for us. But Fred is just so bad on the ball, and for me anyway, he doesn't win a lot of the tackles for us. Personally, right now, if Pogba stay, as a United should go get a player like an Ndidi to complement that. But it's also a question is whether Pogba can play that discipline role. Yeah, in my opinion,
it's a good breakdown. It's a good point you say, because I feel like Pogba's obviously coming to the end of his contract. He's a guy that we need to make a decision on. He's such a quality player in terms of an attacking sense. When he's on it, it's amazing. I remember when he was at Man United earlier on under Mourinho, people used to call him, the complete midfielder. And we kind of grew into understand that he's not the complete midfielder. He definitely prefers advancing, going forward and joining an attacking play rather than doing any of the nitty-gritty defensive work. And where you've seen him thrive and prosper and do well in other teams is where he's got a really good defensive unit around him. A solid team were in France, but also when you see him in Juventus, he had two defensive-minded guys behind him, and he was allowed to do his thing. Manchester United, you see him being put alongside one defensive guy. So I always had to worry anyway. It's just no matter how good the DM is, right? If you have played that formation where we have one DM and then two eights in front of them, you're always going to be in a position where these guys are going off doing their thing. Bruno's doing his thing, even though I know he does a lot of running and tracking back, but he'll be doing his thing a lot of the time. And Pogba will join in and do his thing a lot of the time. You're always going to be left with one person. And sometimes it's enough. Sometimes, if you've got that person that's sitting there covering, it's enough in certain games. But in a lot of the time, you need two guys close together, because we was talking about offline in our group, right? There just weren't enough guys in the midfield that were close enough together, right? Where you can play yourself out of issues, right? You looked at Atletico Madrid, they flooded that. So they went 5 at the back, especially when they got their goal. It was easy for them. 5 at the back, you saw their shape all the time. 3 in the midfield, and then they had 2 up top. It was so difficult to find an outlet because there was a player. It felt like they had a player everywhere. It felt like it was 2 to 1. And I was looking at Pogba, I was looking at the setup that we had. I was thinking, you know what? If I was going into this game, I would want my creative guys, because trying to break that low block, the king of all low blocks, I was thinking, fam, you're gonna need Pogba, you're gonna need Bruno. But when I looked at it and I looked at the setup, it weren't working out. It really weren't working out. And things only changed when Matic came on, and obviously we brought on brought on our right back, whatever like that. Things changed when Matic came on. All of a sudden, it looked like we had more bodies in the pitch. It looked like guys were closer together where we can play in an advanced progressive balls. And I was just damn, this is scary. This is scary.
But I think it's not just Matic alone. I think it was also the energy that Fred brought to the midfield too after he was released from being played to that. Because that energy in the midfield is very key, having someone to just kind of run up and down on the pitch like that. It was very key. And when they released him to go into that position, and Matic was just like the calm presence at the back, it made a whole lot of difference. And Atletico Madrid too, at the time too, they were getting very tired because they done a lot of defensive work too in the first half. But that energy in that middle is very key. And unfortunately, Pogba as a center guy, he cannot play that box-to-box role. He just cannot play that box-to-box. So I just don't know. Well, the only role that he can play is where Bruno plays. And unfortunately, Bruno loves to play there. And I don't see Bruno to play in the box-to-box because they're not energetic enough to do that. So
and
the
that's
two of
the
them,
thing.
they simply cannot play together like
And
that.
this is the challenge. This is what I've always been saying. I was thinking the only way we can potentially try and bring in someone like play them both as if like we keep trying to do, there's going to be pros and cons to everything we do. But I was thinking, can Bruno do the false nine thing where Pogba can be alongside maybe a Fred or Scott McTominay, and you have like your Declan Rice or Ndidi or whoever like that sitting behind them for that, that cover. You got someone covering, you got someone that's energetic alongside Pogba. But then is Bruno going to do well in number 9 position? You play him out wide. Is he going to stick to his role? Is he going to be providing that width? Is he going to be providing that speed? Is he going to be good on the counter? There's all of these things that we have to try to understand. It doesn't suit our style of play. Where you look at Pep Guardiola and you see Mahrez, who's not the quickest. You know what I mean? He's a different type of player to your Bruno. So you know what I mean? He's more skillful. He can whip in the ball. He can duppy guys in terms of the one-on-one. Bruno Fernandes is not that type of guy. He's more of a guy that, he just wants to find a killer pass. So it's a bit difficult trying to put someone like Bruno out wide.
But in finish, people compare like how City don't have those kind of like energetic guys too. But when you don't have that kind of a presence there too, your fullbacks need to be very good too. We don't have the luxury of having the best fullbacks, So that's another big problem too. So for now, if you want to solve that midfield problem, you just need to get that energy guy into the team. I still feel like we need, personally, as I said to me personally, I feel like Pogba leaving will be a blessing for United because it will mean that they can get a DM and someone else who's proper like a box-to-box energetic, because even though sometimes being creative or being able to break teams down is not just about a guy being able to pass the ball through that needle, Yes, you need one of that, but you can't have two of them too. You just need that one person who have a different type of like thing to their game. So honestly, I don't know. Unless you go like a manager that just understand the two of them and find a system where both of them lack of energy is not going to contribute to the team, then yeah. But if not, I don't see them working. I really don't see them working at all.
You know what? It's sad, but I think you're right. It could be a blessing in disguise, but I really do feel like Pogba's an asset. I really do feel like like if you're bringing someone like Pogba off the bench, I know he's not going to have it. He's going to want to start clearly, but because he demands to start, it's causing us a problem. I've always looked at Man United, and we've been like this for a while because we were going for big names in the past, or we were going for we were trying to get the British, whether it be from our system or whether it be from like your Evertons when we got Rooney and stuff. We were kind of trapped we're kind of trapped in making those big decisions to drop some of these big personalities, because it's like what PSG are probably going through now with Neymar, Mbappe, with Messi, all of these big names, where you can probably have a bit more balance in dropping one of those front three, maybe bringing on a Di Maria, maybe bringing on someone like Idris again in midfield. Do you know what I mean? Someone just to help balancing it out, but they're stuck. And I feel like Man United in a sense has been like that. Maguire, now we've paid 80 million, he's our captain, he's never getting benched. Rashford, he's the nation's favourite right about now. He's never really going to be out of the team
Rashford
at a time. Do you know what I mean? It's tough.
It's tough, Rashford. But the thing is, Pogba, I say Pogba is not this kind of a luxury player. Like, just say if you had a car, he's like your nice rims, that make the car look good, or your tinted window, So you can't get a nice rim when your tires don't work, And that's the problem that we got. Yes, he's the rims that make the car gonna look good. But if you don't have that kind of a tire, that will just mean nothing. No, I know, ice on the cake.
Do you know what it is with Pogba? I've been around and around and around. I've gone back and forth with Pogba. And this is my issue with Pogba. It's like, 1 minute I'm just like, you know what? We better off without him, for balance and everything. Next minute now, he comes and just puts on a world performance. I'm just like, damn, we need this guy. It's been happening for years, bro. Like years. I keep having this.
Because as I said to you, he's like you know when you have a nice rim on your car look good, you know, so it look good. I mean, it just flashy. Everybody love that kind of stuff. But when you don't have a tie and the rims is there, people just look at you like, bro, are you fucking crazy, bro? Why are you gonna have a nice rim and your tie just like all way off? And that's the thing about Pogba. You get that nice tie and then you pull Pogba in there, bro. He is very good. But when the other stuff are not there, and then he just there, he just feel like, you know what, this is a very useless. Like you got such a very creative flair player that you're not getting the best out of because certain part of the team ain't just right to get the best out of him. So he's an asset that when you lose, you're gonna miss it. But if you replace it with just that thing that's just not luxury, you still get the best out of the team compared to him there. So it just works both ways. Yes, you're gonna miss him, but in a way too, you might not miss him too if you actually replace him with the kind of like right player that bring more to the balance. Because at the end of the day, it's not about the individual, it's about the team, you know, and that's all it should always be about what makes the team better, not what makes an individual player better.
I guess you're right. It's about systems, right? Get the system right, and a lot of things with Joe. You saw Fergie dealing. He had so many guys that weren't star quality players, but he had a system in place in his era, and you know he got the best out of them, right? He got the best out of the team. Look, let's talk about that goal that we conceded, man. Lodi, I believe, you know, cross came in from him on the money. Joao Felix headed it in. Beat David De Gea on his right-hand side, 1-0 down within the first, 5, 6, 7 minutes or whatever like that. What were you thinking of from that passage of play? Do you feel like we could have done more defensively, or do you feel like that was just a really good worked goal? And yeah, it was just a good piece of play from Atletico Madrid.
You know what? I went to go watch the goal. I want to, because you know what, any goal that you come, you just kind of like look at it. Look, the cross was a perfect cross. He put the cross in such a dangerous area that you just have to do. And then people are going to look at, should Maguire have done better? Look, that cross was just so perfect that. And then the run that Joe Felix done, he just done it so smart. It's like he caught him off guard. But then I watched what causes that goal to begin with, and it was a corner. And the reason why that ball was a corner was because we were playing from the back. The ball was literally passed to De Gea, and De Gea De Gea is really bad on the ball, which is something that he needed to distributing was very bad. He literally kicked the ball to the throwing. No pressure whatsoever on him. And that throwing led to the corner, and the corner led to the goal. So it was a situation that could have been avoided.
It was a cross, right? Rather than a corner. It was like, was it a corner? Or
right, he could have kicked it. He could have, if his distribution was better, he could have kicked it further up the pitch rather than just kicking it just to the throwing, because it just invited unnecessary pressure. So if you was to blame anybody for the game, it will have to be De Gea distributing, which led to the throwing, and then the throwing ended up led to the corner for that. But that cross was just, it was just a beautiful cross. Like, it's just one of those goals where you just cannot fault the defenders. You know, there was nothing that they could have done about it. The goalkeeper couldn't come. The defenders couldn't stop him. It was in such a perfect position, that cross, that you could just literally just do nothing but just watch that goal inside.
Do you know what's annoying, right? It's like, Joao Felix ain't the most physical. He ain't the tallest. And he was sandwiched in between like two of our players, or maybe like three or whatever like that. He had Maguire on the other side of him. You had him, and then maybe like Varane, and then Lindelof on that end. I was thinking like, why is Joao Felix the one that has to win it? We're not talking about someone that's like 6'8", or we're not talking about someone.
It's not the fact that he won it. It was the run he made. Forget. The thing is, the header was even a poor header. If you saw it, it actually hit the post before it went inside. It's not the header that he won. It wasn't like he would just jump. It was the run. The run that he done was so beautiful. You know, when we talk about Cavani movement, that was a class Cavani movement where he just literally run. He was like, before the cross, I think he was behind Maguire. He just literally made that run, literally come in front of him and just do it. So don't forget about him not being a physical anything. The run was literally what made that goal. The cross was beautiful. but the run, it's called what we call the movement. It was the movement. That movement
took
the
us out.
defender did not see him doing that. They just did not see him that. If he was there when the cross came, they would have got more tighter to him and tried to do something. But they just did not see that movement. It was a world-class movement that he did.
It's so frustrating. I mean, frustrating. I wish we could have dealt with it. But, you know, Man United's always in this issue. Man United's just, always in this situation. Look, Man United, obviously second leg, 1-1. Do you see Man United getting through the second leg tie and progressing onto the next round? What is it, semis after? Or quarter?
After that, the last game. You know what? That game too, I think Ralph would need to predict what Atletico is going to come and do. You know, because
they're coming to a win, right? Then they're coming to...
No, but then yes, they need to win too. But then at the same time too, it's about who's going to get frustrated a lot, because both teams in reality don't need to win it. If it says goalless draw, it goes to it goes to extra time, because we don't have the away game. So they can come and say, look, the first leg they struggled to break us, and we had a few chances on the counter that we could have scored. We hit the post. So if we give them the ball like we did in the first leg, we might call them napping, because we've seen that they cannot break us down. They struggle to break us down.
They hit the post twice though.
That's what I'm saying. So they
will
come with that strategy where they come and sit back like how they did in the first leg and try to see if they can get a joy from the counter. And it's a question of does United feel like
playing? Suarez might play. Griezmann will be playing.
You know what? Yesterday, if Suarez played, we win that game. We win that game because the energy that Joe Felix here and their number 10. What's their number 10's name?
Correa. Is it Correa?
Right. That they were just doing in terms of like off the ball. Suarez right now, Suarez is like Ronaldo where he don't press. You know, off the ball. That's why he didn't play yesterday. If Suarez played, we win. I don't think Suarez will start the second leg. I really don't. I think he go with Joe Felix there too. Because if you saw them, they were running deep, they were chasing, and
keep the same lineup. I think he'll keep the same lineup, but he knows that gave us so much stress, right?
But then they got one guy coming back from suspension. He definitely gonna start. What's his name? I forgot about his name. He's gonna start too, but it's just about how they are. Because if you saw when the first 5 minutes, they were more attacking. When they scored a goal, they went defensive. So it's a question of how Ralph want to set up. And I think it will come back down to again, whether he want to start Fred or Pogba. You know, because as I told you, both of them changed the game differently. Against, Brighton. Fred started. The game tempo dropped. He brought Pogba on. Changed the tempo. And against, what game? Against Leeds. Pogba started, took Pogba off, brought Fred on, and then he changed the tempo. And we went ahead to go win it too. Against, Southampton and Burnley. Fred was suspended, so when they got tight, he couldn't make that tactical substitutions to change the game. The thing about Ralph is, whatever strategy he starts with, we now know that he's very good changing the game from the bench. So I just hope he don't play his full card from the get-go and he leaves something on the bench to change the game just like he did change the game too, because it will come down to another second half performance, another second half goal to win that game. I know that for sure.
I can see Scott McTominay coming back into the fold, and maybe Fred probably taking the back seat. It may go again with Pogba and it may go again with Pogba and Bruno and go back to our original formation. I think he should start. I think if Scott McTominay plays, I think he should start Pogba first. And then when Atletico Madrid get tired, then you bring Fred energy into it. Because depending on how the game goes, when Pogba is not going to be the guy that increase tempo, whereas Fred will increase tempo. Me personally, I say use Fred as a guy when they get tired and they still sit back and defend. Fred energy can change the game. But then again, too, it just because to me, Fred will have a bigger impact in the second half than he will have in the first half. So if you start him and then you take him off in the second half where you might need his energy, or maybe he might do the same thing that he did too, but when you have McTominay there too, it's just one of the things that we will have to see. But I feel like Fred energy or even McTominay energy too, if he plays, will be very, very key in that. It will be a game of needing players with energy, not necessarily players who can
pass through the needle or pass behind, because Atletico Madrid ain't going to leave no space for Pogba to do that long pass that he does. They're just not going to do that. So you're just going to need that energy.
So I know obviously you'll want to see Elanga start the second leg against Atletico, but who's starting in your fullback positions then, left and right? You still keeping Lindelof there? Do you think you done a good enough job, or you bring in the low?
No. Lindelof needs to go. It's a game you need to win. It's a game you need to win. It's not a game that you need to. It's a game you need to win. I'll start with Lindelof, because I told you, especially if Matic is not going to play, you need that progressive passes. You need those guys to just be making those kind of passes, you know. And I feel like Delon needs to come in because he's much better with his progressive passes. I don't think Wan-Bissaka is the guy, so I'll probably go with Delon to give us that extra kind of like making sure we are more dangerous on the possession, because when they give us the ball like they did in the first leg, Wan-Bissaka is not your guy to actually do anything with the ball. So I'll probably go with Delon, and I'll probably maybe start Telles, you know, instead of Luke Shaw. I'll probably start Telles instead of Luke Shaw. But yesterday too, Luke Shaw was making runs, but Rashford time and time again was ignoring him. And you know what? As a fullback, it's very, very frustrating, you know. It's very, very frustrating. Yesterday, the way they were playing, there was so much joy for the fullbacks. And Lindelof, as you said, was not going forward. And the people that were going forward was Shaw. And Shaw was not getting it. You saw that when the fullbacks came in too, the game became stretched. Because, and then when, Rashford went off, the wingers that came on were doing the simple thing where they were giving it to the wingers, you know, which is what we were not getting, because Rashford he was just not supplying it there. Personally, Rashford should not even be. I think he just needs to just check in and start going on preseason for next year, bro. I really do, but man, because
we make life too easy for teams when they're on the ball. Yeah, our off the ball work rate is dead, right? But when you see off the ball, yeah, Atletico Madrid never made it comfortable. Yeah, late we got some favour and we got some luck towards, you know, second half and in bits and bobs, but we in the first half especially, we never looked comfortable with us on the ball. They never left room. You know, we found it difficult to find someone because Atletico Madrid were all over us. They were pressing us with 2-3 man, just swarming us, getting the ball. Oh, it was stress. I was looking at a game looking like, oh man, this is just very long, very, very, very long. But do you know what I mean? I would like to see Telles start. I mean, it's, to be honest, it's neither here or there, because 1 minute I'm like Telles and the next minute I'm like, do you know what I mean? There's just not a clear, significant difference. Like, do you know what I mean? With the fullback. 1 minute I'm like Telles, yeah, people like him, and then after a while I'm just like, oh, Shaw came with a bit of energy. It's like they each need to play 45 minutes, because it seems like when they come off the bench, they have a nice good cameo and they do a little thing. Yeah. But like even with Matic, I'm thinking, oh, should we start Matic? But is Matic gonna have that performance like he did when we?
No, as I said to you, the reason why I would go for Telles instead of like Shaw is if Atletico are to defend deep like they were in the first leg. Telles is one of the best when he crossing from deep. He is one of the best. Atletico, they're not the best. We saw Ronaldo have scored a lot of like header goals against them in the past and stuff like that. You get someone putting the right kind of like cross from deep, and Ronaldo can head them with those kind of like crosses too. So just for that, I'll probably kind of like go. Look, Shaw crossing from deep is not one of his best. Yes, he can. I mean, I still have my problems with him in terms of like his delivery anyway, but I don't think we will have a lot of defending to do one-on-one anyway. So you don't have to worry about Telles too much like defending one-on-one, because Atletico ain't going to be doing that way. He has to do that kind of situation. So yeah, just give Telles a go. See what he can do, like off his ball delivery, like crossing, set pieces. Just give him a go. Let's see. But
let's wrap it up then.
Anyway, there's a long way before that second leg. Long way, 3 weeks before that second leg. So a lot's going to happen between them.
Who's your man of the match and who's your worst performer?
Man of the match, I'll give it to Elanga. I mean, just that go along. It was just a game where we just. One thing about United that we always say is our individual brilliance, but unfortunately, the guys that we normally rely on them to give us that, they just didn't show up. He came on and he just got that one perfect chance and he took it. And that's what you call about big game players. They just take that one moment. So I'll give it to him. West guy, bro, it had to be Rashford. It just had to be Rashford. I've just had it with the guy. We've made so many excuses for him. Last season, he was playing through injuries. This season, maybe he was having a mental issue. He was just having that. It just come to a point where you just feel like, You know, there are guys knocking on the door. You know, Elanga is there knocking on the door. You go probably Lindegaard to that probably might be knocking on the door, and just can't go on trying to always just find a way to just bring it to the team. Because when he starts, he's not offering nothing. I don't know. I've just had enough of him personally.
I think I agree with you. So worst performer is Rashford. He doesn't seem to be growing. He doesn't seem to be learning. You know, he's got a lot of mentors around him. He's worked alongside a lot of top guys, and it just doesn't seem to be rubbing off on him. And yeah, it's just that shot what he did from 40 foot, you know, whatever yards out was just nuts. It just summed up what we all think about Rashford with regards to his decision making. So, you know, he didn't really track back as well, leading to that goal as well. So for me, I'm just like, yeah, he's the worst performed. Best performed, right? I have to give it to Elanga again. The composure he showed was amazing. That was his first Champions League goal, right? Come off the bench and the magnitude.
First Champions League goal. First Champions League goal. Yeah, because I think he did play against young boys, isn't it? I don't know. Yeah, and that was his first touch too. That was his first touch.
Yeah, it's a big, especially this season, and it was his first Champions League goal, right? First touch, you know, boom, in the net, composure, and a big game like that. A lot, you know, the way fans, I mean, the home fans of Atletico Madrid with, you know, so much pressure. He comes, he puts it in, he does the job, he gets us out, he gives us a lifeline. So for that, massive rating. So Elanga gets man of the match, but I have to give an honourable shout out to Lindelof, because Lindelof, you know, he had a decent game. I know we talked about him not getting up and not providing an outlet, but defensively, I felt like
he made a crucial block in the first half. Crucial when it was 0-0, made that block in the first half. As I said, when they scored early, it kind of like took him out of the game, because all of a sudden we just didn't need his defensive input anymore. We did that like attacking input. But very play to Ralph though. Ralph, I'm just beginning to like the way he spots stuff and just changes it, rather than where, you know, who old manager would have probably kept to the same and not know what to do to change the game. Ralph always seems to know, because yesterday, I think when we were losing, he made 3 defensive substitutions, you know. Brought on 2 fullbacks first, took both fullbacks off, brought in a fullback and brought Matic. Are you thinking, bro, we need a goal? Why are you bringing on 2 fullbacks and then a defensive midfielder? But there was a reason why he done that, and then soon after that, boy Elanga there fixed the puzzle, bro, man. So you need to give him credit for that. He is making unpopular decisions, but they are the right decisions so far.
Bro, there you have it, guys. Look, we discussed the game at length, you know, gave our thoughts and opinions. If you have anything or you think, you know, we're chatting air, so if you agree, look, drop a like, drop a comment, share it, subscribe, all of that stuff. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, you know, support the king. And you know what? We'll see you in the second leg, man. We'll see you in the second leg. Hopefully we're here, happy, excited, going through to the next round, man. And we'll be waiting for the draw. Hopefully that's us. This is all we got to play for right about now. So look, we're here, man. We're here. Until then, peace.
Peace.